Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. In today's video, my friends, we are going to be testing an RX 6600 GPU in the Talos Principle 2. We have a Gigabyte RX 6600 model that is actually not overclocked. We're pairing it up with a Ryzen 5 3600 processor that is a 6-core 12-thread, and that is also not overclocked. We're using DDR4 3200 MHz 16 GB of memory. That is also not overclocked. Over in the system settings here, we are actually using right now 1080p resolution and unlimited frame rate while in game. As you can see right here, I'm just going to turn this also to unlimited, and we are using TAU at native and ultra settings preset. Alright, so everything is to the maximum. Let's get into the game, and as you can see right there, we are getting about 26 to 24 FPS. This is one of the most intensive areas in the game. As you can see, lots of vegetation and stuff, and buildings also here, and as you can see, sometimes dropping to the 20s, low 20s. Now let's start counting the FPS. This is not a very playable frame rate, so I'm just going to enable FSR in a little while. I don't know if this game has FSR 2 or FSR 1. It just mentions FSR there, and it has the options to actually enable quality and stuff, so I'm going to try to do that from my side. Alright, now let's go over. Alright, so let's go over here and turn on FSR. Okay, so you need to first go to quality. Alright, so we are at FSR quality. It only mentions, okay, so it has FSR2, as you can see on the right side of the screen. It has AMD FSR2 Fidelity FX Super Resolution. But let me tell you something, in this game FSR2 doesn't look very good in my opinion. Whenever you move the camera, the vegetation and stuff becomes very shimmery, and also as you can see, maybe YouTube does show you that or it doesn't, but FSR2 doesn't look very good in my opinion, and it makes a mess out of this vegetation and stuff. We get about 5 to 6 FPS more, and let's start counting the FPS. Just close to 30 FPS in my opinion, and sometimes into the 35 also, but most of the times close to 30 FPS. So that is also not a very good experience. I'm going to turn down the settings, and you will see in a little while that it makes a huge difference when you go from ultra settings to high. It makes a very huge difference. So yeah, as you can see, high settings are applied now at TAU native resolution at 1080p. Now as you can see, we went from about 22 FPS to about 47, which was not very good. 47, which is very good in my opinion, and you can easily play this game. This is not a very heavy action based game or shooter based game that you need high FPS. You can even play it at about like 40, close to 40 FPS in my opinion. I'm going to enable FSR again, FSR2 that is, and still FSR looks very shimmery, but it increases the FPS now like close to 10 FPS more, and now going into the 60s. As you can see, 59, 51, 54. I don't know, when I jump the FPS drops a little bit. Maybe the camera movement does that. I'm gonna try to move the camera a lot. No, it's not happening now. Alright, so sometimes also in the 70s as we just saw. So yeah, now let's go ahead and go to medium settings. Alright, so native resolution, medium settings at 1080p now, and let's start counting the FPS. Alright, so now mostly I think it will stay above 60. I've started counting the FPS, and also in the 80s sometimes. GPU usage is also maximum. It's not a CPU bottleneck in any way. Some of you guys might think that Ryzen 5 3600 to 6600 is a CPU bottleneck, but it's not actually. It depends upon the game. In every scenario it will depend upon the game. If you're using a game that is not very CPU dependent, it will always perform good with the GPU in this configuration specifically. But if you're playing a game that is very bad on the CPU side, then you cannot do anything. You would need a very hefty CPU in that scenario. Now getting 75 FPS, I'm going to turn on FSR2. So yeah, again the image becomes shimmery and the vegetation doesn't look very good in FSR2. As you can see, when I'm moving from the trees start to look very shimmery. I don't know if you can see it in a YouTube video, but it's clearly showing up in my end on my monitor. So yes, and now I've started counting the FPS, mostly above 90, sometimes in the 70s too. So yeah, it's a very playable experience in my opinion. Alright guys, now on low settings, 1080p and native, TAU. Okay, the settings have been applied. Let's start counting the FPS. So going from medium to low actually didn't make, yeah, it did make actually. Now we're, without FSR, we're actually getting above 90 to 100 FPS. So yeah, if you can get a high refresh rate experience, which is not required in this game, you can easily play this game at like high settings and get close to 60 FPS with FSR enabled, and that's also a very good experience in my opinion. Yeah, now let's turn on FSR and see how much of a performance increase can we get from FSR. Quality FSR low settings preset now, and still now the grass is not looking very shimmery because it's very seldom. As you can see, the grass is not that dense now, and that's actually causing the FSR to perform good because it's not overlapping with each other. I hope you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Now let's start counting the FPS. Mostly about 90 still. Now the GPU usage is dropping, so it means that this is the CPU's limit actually. So there you go. As you can see, we are getting about 100 FPS, and that is very playable frame rates. Also sometimes above 110. So yeah, close to a high refresh rate experience if you want to play at high refresh rate experience in this game. Alright guys, so we are at 1440p resolution now, full screen mode and lowest settings preset with TAU at native resolution. As you can see right here, let's start counting the FPS. We're getting close to 60 FPS right now, and sometimes into the 50s, higher 50s also, and the higher 60s also. So from higher 50s to higher 60s is what you can expect at 1440p and low settings preset. Now I'm going to turn on FSR 2, and we're going to see that how does it actually look in at 1440p. Does it cause shimmering still? Oh no, it's very, yeah, it's very good at 1440p. It looks very good as compared to 1080p in my opinion. So at 1080p you can use FSR, at 1440p you can use FSR 2, and it will look very good as compared to 1080p. At 1080p in this game, the implementation, it doesn't look very good, so I would not recommend that. Maybe use high settings at or medium settings in this game at 1080p. Alright, so we are at medium settings now, and TAU at native at 1440p. Alright, so the settings have been applied. Let's start counting the FPS. So we went from higher in the lower 60s to higher 50s to about 50 FPS right now, about 50 FPS average. So that is about 6 to 8 FPS decrease in performance sometimes. Also sometimes I'm touching 60 still. So yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and now enable FSR 2 here. So FSR 2 on quality now, and yeah, the game still looks very good. As you can see, let's start counting the FPS, and now getting in the 80s and most of the times above 60. So if you want a 60 FPS experience, you can get at medium settings 1440p and FSR 2 on quality. That will look very good, and it will also perform very good. Alright guys, so we are at high settings, native resolution, TAU, and let's see. So now we're getting close to maximum VRAM usage. As you can see, we're getting close to 7.7 gigabytes of VRAM usage. So that's why we are actually getting like 27 FPS, which was the frame rate which you were getting at 1080p and ultra settings in this game. So about 30 FPS average, I would say, at these settings. They look very good, and the vegetation is also very dense at high settings. So if you wanna, let's just enable FSR 2 now and see if we can get close to 60 FPS, because 40 FPS I had already told you in this game is very playable. Okay, I've enabled FSR 2 now. Alright, so we are getting close to 40 FPS, sometimes dropping, yeah, sometimes dropping into the 30s still. Now about 7.3 gigabytes of VRAM usage, and not going above. I am seeing there, yeah, 7.4. so yeah, it's still manageable. I think it will not cause you that much issues, but we're getting like 36, 37, 38, sometimes 39. So 36 FPS average. This is very playable in this game in my opinion. Now let's go ahead and try, for the sake of argument, ultra settings. I'm going to try on FSR quality straight ahead, and let's see how much of a decrease do we get from high settings at FSR quality. Now the settings are being applied still. Okay, so now it's stuttering. I think it's still applying the settings. This game doesn't require to be restarted in order to apply the settings, so I'm just going to see if this gets applied, or this is the frame rate that we're supposed to get. I don't think so. Maybe it should get close to like 25, 26. Yeah, I think it's still applying, but we are also very VRAM bound like right now. As you can see, 7.8 gigabytes of VRAM usage, 7.9. This might be fully VRAM bound now. That's why we're getting like 15-14 FPS at 1440p. So yeah, that's a bummer. So whenever you're VRAM bound in this game, this means that you will get a very low frame rate and not a consistent frame rate. Alright guys, so we are at full screen 4K and TAU at native and low settings preset right now. Let's go back into the game, and as you can see, we're at 4K. We're getting like 30 FPS. Let's start counting the FPS again. We're getting like close to 30 FPS now, 28, 27 sometimes. So that's not very good. I think you would have to use FSR if you want to play at 4K. Let's apply quality FSR first. At 4K it looks very crispy and stuff, looks very good. So now the FSR is applied. Let's start counting the frame rate again. Still I would say it's now getting about 40 FPS. So yeah, if you want to play at 4K, you can use about low settings with FSR 2 on quality. If you want to use 1440p, you can use high settings with FSR 2 on quality, and at 1080p I would recommend high settings and without any FSR, because at 1080p FSR doesn't look very good. Alright, so guys, this does it for today's video, and I hope you get an idea of how this game is going to perform on your system. This is a puzzle based game, so you don't need that higher of an FPS in my opinion. And yeah, I also wanted to announce a giveaway in this game. I'm gonna give away a Demonic Hunter, a game that is available on Steam right now. It released a few days back, and I'm gonna give away a copy of this game. It was thankfully provided by the developers to me to check out the game. I'm also gonna make a video for that game, and in order to enter this giveaway, what you need to do is on this video, in the video's comments, just write down Demonic Hunter in the comments below, and like this video, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, in a few days I will be announcing the giveaway winner for that game key, and it's a free game. It's a free key given by the developer in order to give it to you guys. So yeah, this is an announcement. And yeah, like this video, subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.